Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed, and in this new series on HTML and CSS, I will be teaching you what are the basics, how to move forward, and from beginner till the end we'll go through all the concepts. So first of all, what exactly is HTML and CSS? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is basically not a programming language but a markup language in which you will highlight portions of text and give them different weightage or mark. Whereas CSS is cascading style sheets. Cascading basically means a water flow. So we will be using CSS to mention or style a document, HTML document, in the form of a sheet. So HTML is a web page structuring language. It has nothing to do with style. Style will be covered by the CSS part. And both CSS and HTML, they will be run in a web browser. Now a browser can be a Firefox browser, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome. There are other examples also like Apple Safari, Opera, so on and so forth. But my choice of a web browser is Firefox. So let's dig into more HTML. HTML is basically controlled by W3C or World Wide Web Consortium. What is a consortium? It's basically a group of companies or a group of people or group of developers who have joined their heads together to form the standards for HTML. The current version of HTML is 4.01. but the upcoming version is version 5, and although its finalization period is way far away, but yet still so many web browsers and so many developers have started using it, so it's common practice to use HTML, and that's exactly what will be our choice also. Another variant of HTML is the XHTML, and what it is basically that the developers or the people at W3C, they have adopted the syntax and rules of XML and applied them on HTML to make it XHTML, a stricter version of HTML. Then all documents used to be in a strict mode or a transitional mode. So which version should the browser interpret? Well, that depends first of all on which version you are developing in. The next task is that there should be a way for you to tell the browser that my choice of tags was this, so you should also interpret in this particular mode. So how that will be done? It is done through the use of doc type tag, and doc type tag is basically the first line in any HTML document. Different HTML variants have different doc types. For instance, for HTML 4.01 in a strict mode, the text over here, this long text, this has to be the first line of the HTML document. This is how your web browser or any web browser will know that I should interpret this HTML using this code, because each version of HTML has different meaning to different tags. Some versions have some depreciated tags from the previous version, some introduce new tags, some introduce new meaning to new tags, so it's different for every version. Then other doc types are like, for instance, HTML 4.01 transitional mode. In this, that they will be the markup will be checked by the web browser in a loose mode. For XHTML 1.1, this is the mode. So of course all of this is messy and it's very hard to remember this syntax, this particular syntax. It's very hard to remember. That's why we always as developers have relied on text editors or for completion of this code. But what's so good about HTML5 is that this is the doc type, enough, no other description. Just a doc type and HTML. This means that it is HTML5, easy to remember, and this is exactly our choice of studying. Some basic syntax rules about HTML5. original HTML. HTML is not a case sensitive markup language, but good practice is that everything should be in lowercase, and that's also the recommendation of W3C. The file extension can be HTML or HTML, and there is no preference to any of this. HTML makes use of tags, or which are also called elements, to mark up the text in a document. All tags should be properly closed. HTML tags document should be indented, and attribute values should use double quotes. What exactly is all this we'll cover in just a brief moment. So now that's enough for our presentation. I'm on my desktop. This is a Linux machine. It's precisely I'm using Ubuntu, but it doesn't matter which version you use. So because the thing that matters is the web browser. So I'll create a file over here on my desktop, and I will call this file first.htm. Open it up in any text editor, So I have in the Linux, I have this gtext editor, so I'll open it up in this. Click on open, desktop, and first file. Now let's go back to the desktop and open this file in a web browser. My choice of web browser is Firefox. So here we go. We can't see anything. Of course, there is nothing written on it. So our first task is to first of all instruct the web browser that which version will we be using. So this line will tell the web browser that I am using HTML 5. Now every HTML document, this is just the instruction line, nothing will be output. Every HTML document must have a starting and a closing HTML tag. All HTML code should be written in between these two tags. And this is an opening tag and this is a closing tag. How we know? Because all tags open with their name and are closed with the exact same name. The only difference is that before the name we have to pre-text it with a /. I'm having a bad cough. So this is how a tag is placed. As I mentioned earlier, that it has to be lowercase. That's a good practice. Then every HTML document has two parts: a head and a body part. Now the just general rule of understanding what's the difference between head and a body is that all that part of the document which you want to be displayed on the web browser, on the web page, it should be in the body part, and all other extra information or extra instructions for the web browser, it should be placed in the head part. As we move along in this course, you will understand that how that is covered. Another thing to note is that when I placed head and body, I used a tab key to distance it from the start and give it some spacing. This is called indentation. And why do we need to indent it? So that the code is easily readable. Secondly, this also gives us another information that head is a child tag or child element of the HTML tag, and same is the case for body tag. Body is a child tag of HTML tag, but head and body both are on the same levels, means that both of them are siblings. So what can we give in the head part? For instance, the most common thing is the title, and whatever appears over here, my first web page. Save it, go to the browser, refresh it. Of course nothing is placed over here, but if you go up you can see that my title is placed over here, and similarly over here. Of course it will disappear if I mouse over it. So but what if I made a mistake? For instance, I forgot to close this tag like this. You can see what's happening, that the browser is unable to understand that did you close it, did you close the title. So because title is missing, and each tag has to respect the parent child relationship, so title was open but it was not closed, so everything after the title is considered as part of the head, and it treats it like this because HTML will always ignore errors, and it will be up to the browser to manage how it will handle errors. So you should always use best practice. And even if, for instance, I take this whole part and place it outside the head, go back, save over here, it's still giving me the same result. But that doesn't mean that you can do anything you want. This is browser dependent. Now you have made a mistake, and now it's up to the browser how it will handle it. So don't make any mistake. Now any text that will come over here, text of my first web page, save it, go back to the browser, refresh it. You can see that the body part has come down there on this page area. By the way, this area, this whole area, this white area is called a viewport. So so this is just a text with no markup at all. We can add some markup to this. For instance, we can make it in we can use a tag called strong and save it, refresh it. Everything is bold. Now strong tag doesn't mean that the text will be made bold. Strong just only means that there is importance to this tag. This text has some strong importance. So because I enclosed everything in these two opening tags, that's why everything is bold. If I just enclose the text part in this strong tag and go back and refresh this page, you see that only text is now in bold and the rest is in normal text. Another thing is that we can, in the web browser, you can view any web page. Just right click on the page and you can go to view page source, or another way of doing the same is that you can go on view and you can where is that option in Firefox? Yeah, I wonder where it is. Anyway, you can simply right click over here and it will show you the view source, view page source, and this code is what this browser is getting, and it will interpret it. These all tags will be removed and the browser will display what the meaning of this web page would be. So this was our first video, and in the next coming videos we will continue our quest for HTML and CSS.